And the first category we're going to look at is design. Well, design as a part of logistics and supply chain plays a fundamental role in the apparel industry's digital transformation. 3D virtual product sampling allows marketing and manufacturing teams to create, view, and share products in vivid, accurate 3D, reducing the number of required iterations and patterns while streamlining processes. I'm honored to invite our first panel of experts to discuss design. Please welcome our moderator, David Roth, CEO of EMEA and Asia of the store WPP, Browzwear co-founder and chief product officer Avichai Feld, and retail expert Ellie Jacobson. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much indeed. It's a pleasure to be joining you. I'm David Roth from WPP here in London at the moment, like everybody else, working from home. So it's a pleasure to introduce this first session of today, which is all about design. And our first look into design is going to be very much a 3D look into design. So I'm delighted to be able to warmly welcome both Avichai Feld and Ellie Jacobs. And if we can move over to them and to their slides. And this session is all about 3D. And I think one of the things that we have found over the course of the last few months is the importance now of being able to do things fast and at speed, and also a way where people can really get and understand what a product looks like. And 3D has been around for some time, but my feeling is that we are going to see a dramatic upsurge in the way which 3D is going to be used for product design, and particular apparel design, over the course of the next year or so. So over to you guys. Thanks very much indeed.
Avichai, let's go.
Thank you, thank you. Let me share my screen.
So whilst you're getting set go, I mean, you work with more than about 400 apparel companies right across the globe in terms of their supply chain, and they already use your technologies in order to ensure that companies can create true to life virtual samples of garments and make changes to those in seconds and minutes.
Absolutely.
Great, you're good to go. Excellent. Over to you.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for letting me open this incredible day. So many startups dealing with retail. I didn't have a clue that there are so many in Israel doing that. I'll try to use the 5 minutes to just give you an idea of what is it that is happening in the retail world, from the, as you said, from the design, but all the way to manufacturing perspective, digitally wise. And Browzwear, the company that I lead, is leading the apparel industry to go fully digital, which is something that is today still considered to be rare, because this industry, the fashion industry, is still working with very old methods. So the one challenge that we are posing to solve is the dependency on the physical samples. It still requires the physical samples for most of the big companies out there today who manufacture in China, to go through a process, a very tiring process of dealing with physical samples. There is no decision made without the physical samples. That requires sometimes a year, 2 years ahead of time to develop their lines, which means the ability to reach the market on time in the trend is very little. And that means that I mean, this is one of the major causes for the waste, and the fact that the garments at the end of the day are selling in 50% of what was manufactured, and the rest is going to waste. And this is what we are solving in Browzwear. I mean, the idea is to eliminate the dependency on the physical samples. And what you see on the screen is just a small, very simplified way to look at the process that we are now putting into the entire industry. it starts from a sketch, it goes to a 3D design of the garment. What you see on the screen rotating is a 3D design of the garment, but it's true to life, meaning that once the factory or the brand was able to create this 3D, and that's what they do with our tools, and they did it correctly with the right materials and so on and so forth, and they made a decision that this is what they want to manufacture and sell. Once they get the first physical sample, it will look and behave the same. That is in many ways solves so many problems today in the current workflow. And once you understand that this is a substitute for a physical sample, that digital true to life sample, then everybody can run quickly in their mind all the opportunities that are there to go from the physical workflow into the digital one. And of course, the outcomes are already there. The reduced in cost of goods is clearly there, less samples, less waste. And of course, the sellability of the product is higher because you can reach a better design. And this is just a quick, a small part of our clients. And you can see diverse type of clients. You have big retailers and you have brands, but you also have their factories which are working together on the platform. This is the outcome. All of it is digital to the details, as you can see. And it's clear now the idea of all our clients that 3D samples are the trusted alternative, and we're going for all of those which are not our clients to explain to them that this is what's coming. And what you see on the screen right now is what we have and what we're going to. So what we have is the ability to create 3D digital samples, to integrate into other tools and to the workflows, to automate, which is, again, even further optimization of the workflow, validation and evaluation of the digital samples all on the cloud with the different entities, the brand and the factory. And of course, communication and visual communication based on that 3D models that are running from side to side. The next thing that are coming are B2B sales catalogs, B2C better experience using those 3D assets. In other words, being able to do, to give the shoppers a better experience to understand what is it that they're shopping. And of course, this, whatever we have here goes directly to manufacturing, as I said. Last thing I want to say before I hand it back to your questions is the effect of COVID-19 on us, on the industry. The lack of physical samples when China was completely in lockdown made it clear to the Western companies that there are no physical samples, and which made them move into the 3D samples. Those who were open all through the lockdown until today, the supermarkets, the Walmarts, the Targets, they still need to bring goods into their shelves, which means no physical samples made them work with 3D. And once they realized 3D is a valid alternative, all of them, no more questions, now they want to go 100% 3D made collections without waiting a moment. And that's something that needs to go across the industry, and in a way it makes our life easier. But I think it's a good note to all the industry to move into digital sample and digital workflow. And now to your questions.
Right, thank you very much indeed. I think it's pretty clear that your technology enables speed to take place, but I suppose speed is pretty useless without certainty. So what certainty do buyers, merchandisers have that the three-dimensional renders that they see are accurate enough to completely dispense with a physical sample?
Well, I think that's a very good question, but it starts from the brands and the retailers, and the tools. It took us years to to build that trust. I mean, but the building blocks are there. The ability to create those garments is made out of a very extreme technology based on tools that allows you to measure the materials, and at the end of the day, there is a match between, and there's a way to show the match between the physical sample and the digital one, which was selected for manufacturing. And this build is, this trust that was being built, we're now incorporating into a whole cloud-based digital workflow that at the end of the day shows this matching, and every time manufacturer completes a physical sample that matches the digital one, it actually puts their rank higher. In other words, as a merchant, you know that that factory is you know, stands behind their digital samples. In other words, when they do a physical sample out of the digital one, it will match the digital one.
Thanks very much. What advantages above speed do both the factories get and also the retailers or designers get that they can't have in a physical sort of sample itself? So does this technology give to the designers, the specifiers, the buyers additional benefits over and above what they would normally get with a physical product?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. It's a way to have almost the physical garment, except it's digital, but then being able to alter it to whatever you want. I mean, if anybody knows from the listeners to the current process, if you're a buyer and you're being shown a result either from your own design team, but then you know, manufacturers as a physical sample, or maybe it's an ODM that offers you their own design. It doesn't matter. In both cases, it's hardly that the first sample will work. It's always something that, you know, catches your eyes and you want to change it because you want to make this into a better garment that you think will sell better. In 3D, you can make the change based on the buyer's idea in a matter of seconds and minutes, which means in minutes, you can do, you know, 100 iterations and get it to the likings of the buyer. And therefore, you know, close an order and make sure that the garment is actually better and therefore more sellable.
Ellie, from your perspective, what is it that organizations need to change in the way in which they currently have their workflows in order to make 3D technology really work for them?
Okay, so from my end, you know, I grew from all design stages. I think I was a designer in fashion and accessories, and then a consultant and manager and whatever you want. So organizations, you have to remember, if you're speaking about 3D, but I see 3D as a part, small part, but crucial part is innovation in fashion. So I think this latest COVID-19 crisis, you know, of course, showed everybody that there is a crisis and fashion can't afford to stand in the place anymore and can't expect that customers will continue buying and coming to to my brand to purchase or something like this. So 3D, of course, you know, once I had to convince like companies and brands to start using 3D. It was, I think, the late 90s, early 2000, and they didn't know what I was talking about. Still, 3D is considered like a very professional tool for modeling. So from one side, the startups or the technical companies have to understand that for brands, companies, corporations to go through an innovation process, it's a very big thing. You know, we live in a startup community. It's very easy for us to understand, like, let's gather a few ideas. I have a few friends. We have a great idea. Let's go pitch it. And of course, all the companies will want this idea. But I'm sure Avichai, you know, learned it for a long time. It's very difficult to approach a company because it's not that I'm just offering a new 3D solution, which is easy, sometimes better, but the whole company process has to change. And fashion-based companies, brands, especially I think luxury brands, are very old traditional companies. Still hard to imagine like the gap between what I see virtually and physically. It's very difficult. So it's not only okay, I adapt a tool and my designers are working with it and that's it. Maybe I don't have physical modeling, but it's to change the whole company structure. It means like the whole leadership has to understand the design values. Designers and engineers have to start working together. I have to see it for the long run, like not expect that I will see the margins grow immediately, but it's a long process. And of course, if I have the 3D and like Avichai said, they're going like a cloud-based and I start gathering data, I have to understand how great and how strong this data that I'm gathering from the users, it's very, very powerful. If I learn how to do it correctly, so I have a very powerful tool. So maybe it starts from the 3D solution, but it's a whole wide range of a new innovative worlds. It's the whole fashion tech world that for here we are gathered all day talking about this.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Well, it's amazing how quickly 8 minutes goes for questions. We've got about 1 minute left. I just want to ask you a very quick question, both of you. If you can just let everybody know what advantages you think that those companies that are currently using 3D and your technologies are going to have over those companies that aren't during, in a sense, now and post-COVID for the next, I don't know, season. What clear advantages will they have? Let's go to Avichai first, just for a quick soundbite, and then over.
Yeah, it's very clear. I mean, it's the speed of being able to introduce garments to the market in the right trend, and which means selling more. And it goes even one step further. The ability to sell with 3D, then only produce, can change the entire workspace for the landscape for them. And that's what we are aiming for, and that's what we're taking them with us to.
Great. Ellie, quickly.
For my quick answer, what Avichai said, definitely, I think customization is definitely where fashion is going these days, that everybody could produce their own garments based on 3D modeling. The second thing is direct to consumer, that I don't have to go to those scope. As a user, I will have a much easier life, like building my own collection and the clothes that I love, designing them, modeling them, and then getting them straight sent to my home without even thinking where they're produced, by whom, or what. It will just be the direct to consumer. These are the two basic things that I think we'll see in the future of fashion.
Great, thank you very much, Ellie and Avichai. It's a pleasure, delight to be. Thanks very much indeed.